Hi all, quick video log update. So I said in my last video I was going to try and do these a bit more regularly, so hopefully what I'm intending on doing is just doing a quick update before each painting session, and possibly a recap afterwards. We'll see how it goes, but certainly start with the pre-session updates. What I'm working on at the moment is mainly AdMech, as you can see. My club, when we eventually get back to being allowed to meet in person, is going to be doing a Tale of Gamers escalation league, starting at 500 points, and I've been patiently waiting for the AdMech codex to drop so that I can pore over the contents and figure out what I want to do in terms of sort of starting with a 500 point force and building up to 2,000 and more. And this is what I've come up with for the first games. So we've got Skitari Marshal, he's actually finished. For troops, we've got 10 Rangers with galvanic rifles, 1 plasma caliber, 1 arc rifle, and 1 transuranic arquebus at the back there. I've just built some more of these guys to fill in the special weapon slots and take an alpha's role. It's this guy here, because the only alpha I've got at the minute has got melee weapons, and that doesn't work for points. So they'll be the sort of the core of the force, holding hopefully holding an objective in my deployment zone. Then we've got 4 Cerberus Sulfur Hounds. Originally I'd got these guys as a unit of 6, but for reasons that will become apparent in a moment, I chopped the 2 blast carbines, phosphor blast carbines out. Just left the pistols and the alpha with the arc maul. Then fast attack. This is why I dropped the 2 blast carbine Sulfur Hounds to get an extra ballistarian. The one on the right here is finished, and the one on the left still needs a fair amount of work doing to him, especially on the greens. I've been starting to airbrush those more recently, but given how far along the rest of the paint scheme is on that, I'm going to have to finish that one by hand. So that might form a substantial chunk of what I'm doing this evening. And then finally an Onaga Dune Crawler, so you can see here the airbrush work that I've been doing more recently on the AdMech as I've started to get more confident with it. The copper that you can see on the top piece here will get dulled down very much more to this sort of style first before being brought back up, hopefully with a slightly mottled sort of finish, by sort of mixing Sycorax bronze, fulgurite copper, and sort of one Skull Crusher brass, to bring those sort of colours up and out and sort of really make it pop. That's 500 points. I've got another 17 Skitari there, waiting to be built. There's the extra Sulfur Hounds and some Servitors, some Cataphrons that I've got with plasma culverins, just waiting for higher points values. I've got a couple of Dragoons waiting to be finished as well. Oh, I hope you don't get seasick. We've got an Archaeopter Stratoraptor in there, although it is magnetised for all the options. And a Tech Priest Dominus. There we go, back. Yeah, I've also got engines here. I bought the Combat Patrol, as you saw in last week's video log. So he's also built and ready and waiting for some paint. Would have been nice if I could have squeezed him into the 500 points to get the bonuses for the Dune Crawler in terms of the pluses to hit, but I can use the Doctrina Imperatives for that, for at least one turn. I went with the Icarus Array mainly for sort of redundancy at this stage. Obviously at 500 points you don't get to have all of the toys that you want. I mean, I'd make a very good in that respect overall, but it does sort of limit your choices somewhat. So obviously once I'd put in a solid troops unit, I went with a cheap HQ. I did contemplate putting a neutron laser on the Dune Crawler, but if I go up against something that's not got any serious vehicles to face off against, then it's largely going to be D3 shots wasted every turn. Whereas with the Icarus array, I've got a D6 damage missile, I've got some volume firepower from the Gatling missile launcher, and the autocannons do a bit of punch against vehicles as well, especially when combined with the two twin Cognis autocannons on the Ballistari there. I think that's 16 autocannon shots all told, which obviously when I'm shooting with the relevant Doctrina active, they're all going to be hitting on 2s at strength 7, so it should be pretty punchy, and certainly sufficient to sort of do some damage to vehicles. And if there are a lot of vehicles in the enemy force, then there's not going to be much infantry, so I don't need the volume firepower. If there aren't any vehicles, then 16 shots hitting on 2s is nothing to sniff at anyway. So and I can always bulk it out with the Sulfur Hounds and their Sulfur breath. So there we go. We'll see how we get on with that tonight. As I say, I'm not entirely sure yet just exactly what I'm going to be working on. I was working on the Dune Crawler last night, so I may sort of push on with that. I think I probably want to build a few more of the extra Skitarii before I get stuck into airbrushing their robes and things. I'd rather do those as a batch, sort of a large batch, than sort of just do 3 at a time. Alternatively, I may just decide to push on with the Sulfur Hounds because they're gorgeous models, or I could finish that because it's probably the furthest along of everything. We'll see. I'll save that one as a nice little surprise for you for next time. Yeah, that went well, didn't it? I'll do a video log before I start painting every night, he says. The next night, what does he do? Completely forgets. Starts painting anyway. Anyhow, what I did was some work on these 3 guys. Now, I can't remember what they look like before the last video log started, but essentially what I did on these, you can see on here, I've got some blending on the sort of the cloak and the fabric parts of the model. Well, I started to work that up on these 2, and I also started working on the greens on the sort of the armor panels. So the sort of the concept behind the scheme basically is anything that's made of cloth or some kind of flexible fabric of any kind is going to be that sort of burgundy colour, with the sort of the much more grey sort of insides on there. Sort of solid armour panels are this sort of jade green type colour, and then there are 3 different metallics that will sort of be present on the models in varying degrees. So just sort of well, actually let's bring the Dune Crawler in as sort of the example here. So we start with this, I call it sort of a warm copper, which we start with Vallejo hammered copper. Then I'll wash it with Coelia green shade from GW, sort of put on a mix of 3 different sort of coppery, bronzy, brassy, metallic shades. That's these 3 here. and I stipple that on to get kind of a mottled effect. You can sort of start to see it just on drunk to a caller, just on here. Hopefully I can get the camera to focus. You can see how it's sort of stippled on there, to give some sort of less warm aspects to it, and some of the more sort of orangey goldy colours. I've got some nihilic oxide in the just in the recesses there as well as the Greeley green shade, and then I just give it a final dry brush with Rinfang steel, very light, just to sort of pick out a few edges where the metallics might be worn. So that's one of the colours. Then the next one is sort of the silvers, which, I mean, this is currently sort of first few stages. It's lead Belcher, and then there's sort of two shades stroke washes go on. One made out of Barracknard burgundy, one made out of Screamer pink. The Screamer pink is the top one that you can see on here at the moment. That is then going to be sort of highlighted with Ironbreaker, another Games Workshop colour, and then I'll be popping some rust or rusted parts on where appropriate, and for that I'll be using Doombull brown and Squig orange rather than the Typhus corrosion and riser rust. I just find that sort of for sort of flatter surfaces like this, I prefer the control that you can have by using the Doombull brown and the sort of the layer paints rather than the technicals. Then I don't have done any on this actually, but I'll just bring out the Tech Priest to show you the final one, which I call Cold Bronze, and that's, you can just see that on top here. And the idea is that this will be for sort of the more functional metallic parts, sort of cable connections and so on. This is my Tech Priest Dominus, and that put together. I need to sort his Volkite blaster out rather than the eradication ray. But as you can see, the bronze colour that I'm bringing in is much flatter, much less vibrant, and I think it sort of contrasts nicely. The camera's focusing horribly. I think it contrasts really nicely with sort of the much more sort of goldish tones of the copper scheme. So that one is, I start with Warp Block Bronze, give it a shade with Stegodon Scale Green, and then just a couple of sort of finer edge highlight stroke dry brush highlights. That's with Runelord Brass and Runefang Steel. So it sort of, I like to think it sort of just gives a bit of variety and tone into the model, particularly with the AdMech stuff, where there is such a wide range of metallic parts on the models. I think there's a lot of scope to lose a lot of the wonderful detail that the sculptors have got in there with if you just sort of go for a flat silver all over. And I like the sort of the extra depth of tone that the sort of the coloured washes bring to the model, particularly this Screamer pink on the lead Belcher. I like to think that sort of the AdMech would use metallics and alloys, whatever they can find, whatever they can sort of concoct from their home world. And so not all of the AdMech would just be a plain steel, you know. There'd be all kinds of weird and wonderful alien metallics that they'd make use of. So I mean, my Forge World is Forge World Exxon Ignis. It's based on the Riser Dogma, but I like the idea that there's sort of vast natural resources of metals and what have you in their home system, and they use different alloys for different purposes based on the particular properties that they need for whatever it is they're manufacturing at the time. So that's where we are at the moment. It's quite late. I might do a little bit before I go to bed tonight, but I'm still currently riding high on the wave of getting these guys shown on the hobby roundup this evening. So I'm going to leave you there and I'll catch up with you next time, or possibly the time after if I forget again. See you in a minute. Hi, welcome back to the video log. We are now on Sunday evening, almost Monday, and what I've essentially been working on today, well, since my last video log, is AdMech. So as you can see, I've got part of a Ranger squad here, part painted, some extra special weapons there to make up the numbers in the squad. Sulfur Hounds, which are again part done. The Alpha off to the left there is actually finished. He's the only one in the squad that is. Part done and Strider. Some battle servitors, and then some more Skitari that I've been putting together this afternoon and this evening. So essentially what happened was I had 30 Skitari all built and mixed up into squads of Rangers and Vanguard. All the special weapons, all the plasma and arc rifles in the Vanguard, all the transuranic arquebuses in the, or arquebuy, not sure, jury's out on that one, arquebuy in the Ranger squad. The idea being the Rangers stand still, so the big sort of sniper rifles that can't shoot unless they if they move wouldn't be penalised by being in that squad, whilst the other special weapons with the slightly shorter range benefit from being in the Vanguard squad that wants to be more mobile. Then the new codex dropped and the special weapon allocations in the squad changed. The squad numbers went up to 20 from 10, and you could only take one of each special weapon per 10 models in the squad. So I bought 2 more boxes of Skitari, shuffled some of the special weapons around, and I've built both of those two, or each of the 2 special weapon types that you get. They've all been built up now as Rangers, and are ready to go into this squad, which is going to be a 20-man unit. There will then be another 10-man unit that I can take, that's got sort of one of each in there, and then I can sort of mix and match to get a couple of smaller units of 10 each, just with the basic weapons if I want to go down that route. However, it's been a complete and total nightmare trying to figure out which bits and which models go with which squads. As you can imagine, sort of trying to mix up special weapons then into sort of new units and figure out which of the new weapons want to go with the old units, combined with the fact that I mean, you could probably say slightly foolishly, I've built 3 of the Alphas with combat loadouts. So when I come to do the other squads, I need to make sure that I've got sufficient leader type looking models in there to stand in as Alphas if I want to do smaller units without the combat adaptations for the Alphas. So that's the Rangers. I've then got a box down here with a partial squad of 10 Vanguard, the next squad of 10 Rangers underway. Ignore the Death Watch up there, they've been in there for some time and aren't getting done anytime soon. And then this box is going to be a squad of 20 Rangers. Rangers, Vanguard. 10 Vanguard, 20 Vanguard. 10 Rangers, 20 Rangers. So that's the plan for the infantry. Then on DZTV's Discord, they've had a cracking series running over the past few months. The Four Horsemen of the Hobby Apocalypse. Essentially, it's a Tale of Gamers series, which I've been sort of painting along with. And each month they pick one of their favourite models from the community submissions to sort of mention. So this month I've not managed to get a mention yet, so I'm going to try and push it this month, and I'm going to be finishing the Archaeopter. Hopefully that will be sufficiently cool when it's finished to get me a bit of a mention. We'll have to see. And in the meantime, I've also finished my Onager Dune Crawler. See if I can get hold of that for you. There we go. So this is Oshiri 74. I'll let you figure out what that means yourselves. Really pleased with how this has come out. It's probably the first one that I've finished where I've sort of taken my airbrushing to the next step, or the next level, should I say. And I think that looks like a cracking little miniature, and it'll look really good sort of alongside the rest of the army. So the idea with the colour scheme is that the sort of the armoured sections come in this nice pale green. The robed or material pieces are that sort of purpley pink colour, and then we have different metallics for different purposes. So the sort of the ornate high quality metallics is this this sort of pale sort of coppery gold type colour. Anything that's sort of gunmetal or a sort of a functioning piston or sort of piece like that is the silver. And then I've got also a third colour, which is sort of a almost a matte sort of dark bronzy copper type colour. So that will feature heavily on the servitors, which is a lower grade alloy used in sort of more mass produced units for the army. So I mean that will feature in a lot of the bionics on these guys. Sort of all the cogs and things down here will be in that, and a mix of that and the silver. There won't be much of the bright copper on these at all, but we will get some of the green in on the armour panels here. So the idea is that sort of taken as a whole, the armour will look sort of quite coherent, but the individual models may be sort of quite distinctively different in terms of how they look. Most of the Skitarii stuff will have sort of a mix, like the Rangers here, and even the Archaeopter, sort of a mix of that, the green, the purple, and the copper will be sort of the three main colours in the force. But there'll be these other elements, and each of those main colours will feature in sort of different amounts on different units. So that's where we are at the moment. I'm going to knock this particular vlog on the head there, and we'll start another one probably tomorrow evening when I decide what of this I'm going to start painting first. to try and get some units actually finished. So until the next time, take care and carry on crusading.